Good evening, everyone. President Jaime, members of the audience, little ones who have been waiting for quite some time. Thank you, Trustee Kong, for allowing Mr. Media Representative Wes White. And again, like I was saying, if you guys don't know who Wes White is, we have to do a little bit better when it comes to history, because Wes White is part of the Monterey County history. He's everywhere, everywhere. I mean everywhere. Where elected officials are, where key issues are at the table, he's there. So we got to do better. We already had an incident in the past with President Conte. The whole scenario, officers were involved. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't even be wasting time on bringing our officers again, just because he wants to film, again, a public meeting. Anyways, but that's enough of me. But thank you, Wes, for being here. The whole reason why I was here is for so many issues that, or I guess comments more or less. First of all, I don't know if any of you get bothered by me being here supporting my sister, Sonia Heredia, but I'm proud, and I'm gonna say it every single time. As the mother of 3 district students, as a community member, I'm proud of my sister, the amazing work she's doing. And if you guys get bothered by me being here and giving a shout out to my sister, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the sad life that you might be living at home, but this is who I am. Sonia, keep up the good work, sister. Latinas representing, so keep it up. Tony, thank you for participating in all of the safe routes to school, except the high school. Where were you at today? We missed you at the high school, Tony. Come on, there was a lot of issues. No district representative, which was sad. Not even from the high school. So I wish that this elementary district would have been there to represent and to say, you know what? At every other school site, we've had, board member participation, principals involved. The high school didn't even have the principals coming out. I mean, that's horrible. What kind of relationship are we building with the community, with the students? It was just one thing, a hiccup on the, on our path to making our streets safer. Another thing that I want to say is that I just have to call it out. Ruby, big shout out to Ruby. She literally told Tony that our kids, because some of them went home already, they needed coloring books. And thank you for listening to Ruby and actually bringing the kids books. I know that we have one student in the back who is missing her book, but thank you, Ruby. Big shout out to you. And Mr. Gonzalez is gone. I wanted him to be here because I really wanted to be able to kind of voice my concern in front of him. I've been dealing with some issues with a certain sub, and Ms. Galvan, I'm gonna have a meeting with you to talk about this issue with this substitute teacher that we have. We need to do better when it comes to writing reports. We write reports based on facts, right? They have to be based on facts. It's not based on, I saw, I thought, I heard, they told me, I was comfortable in my chair 5 feet away, but this is what I saw. No more. We're labeling our children, and it's awful. I advocated for my son, and Mr. Gonzalez was amazing, guiding me through the steps. Then I had him, do an investigation. A week later, this is the outcome. All the students that were around my child couldn't even say yay or nay, this is what happened. So as a substitute teacher, he needs to do better. And I want to sit down with him and with you, Ms. Galvan, because we need to do better. We live in a Latino community where you tell our parents, fulanito de tal, tu hijo, tu hija se portó mal, they're misbehaving. What do their parents in the community do? They go home, they might beat the child. Because why? We were raised that the adult in the room is the one that's correct, right? The teacher is right. And that's why I told Mr. Gonzalez, no. I'm glad Santi has a mom that's going to speak up. And imagine all the other kids that are being left behind. That shouldn't be happening, Mr. Gonzalez. We need to do better when it comes to that substitute teacher, and I just really want to give him kudos because he did an amazing job. Sad that he had to leave, so he couldn't hear the comment. So that's just my concern. Santi's graduating, he's going to the high school. I'm going to take a break from Vista Verde for 2 years up until Camila comes in. I want Camila to have a beautiful atmosphere where she's not going to be judged, she's not going to be questioned, she's not going to have this false report follow her around because of what because of the assumptions a teacher made, not because of the actual facts. So that is my comment regarding Vista Verde. And I'm glad that I was able to see the Cesar Chavez presentation to give a shout out to Ms. Amezcua and Mr. Mercado. They're doing an amazing job. I can't complain as a parent of two Cesar Chavez students. You guys are doing a great job. I know I hardly ever go out there. I see you because I'm so busy. But when I do, you guys receive me with open arms, Ms. Amezcua. Even though sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, she's coming, I don't want to see her, maybe. But I love the fact that I could share things with you, and I could be honest. And yeah, Ms. Galvan, you probably might be shaking your head, but I'm talking as a mom, because I do talk to Ms. Amezcua, and I do question myself as a mom. And I do tell her, Ms. Amezcua, sometimes I feel like a horrible mom, but how are my girls doing? And she always reassures me, they're doing fine. They're happy, they're doing this. You know, we miss you at school, but we understand you have other things to do. And that is exactly the perfect definition of a school zone and how it becomes a second home for these children. And to Mr. Silva and Ms. Cruz, who better than to get recognized? Keep up the good work. That's all I have to say. That's it.
Thank you. And so now we're moving on to the next public comment, which is from Ms. Barbara Garcia.
Good evening to all of you. I have some comments, public comments as a concerned citizen, and thank you for the time. I would like to address what appears to me to be the disposal of school buses at Mary Chapa. I live adjacent to the school, and for me, it's posing a lot of concerns. First of all, the appreciation and the property value. It is a fire hazard and a biohazard. It's a house for the homeless. I have nothing against the homeless. We need to do something to assist them, but they are living in your school buses that are disposed at the property. If none of you have seen it, I don't see how you can miss it driving down Walnut Avenue Bridge. I see it every day coming in from work. It is also a hub for illegal activity. At night, when I step out because I forgot something or go grocery shopping, when I come back, there are people walking up and down that don't live on the street and do appear to be people living at that area. So I also think of a scenario where, unfortunately, the homeless need to keep warm. If they start a fire in the bus or near the bus, that is going to go, the neighborhood is going to go up in flames. You're going to have children and elderly possibly die because of a negligence or irresponsibility. It might be an oversight to someone. I don't understand how it could. It's right there. And the other thing is, I was looking around for positive messages. I truly, honestly believe in your mission statement, which does state safe, nurturing environment. Again, those buses are not in any way safe. It's a big, major issue, along with the city, which we need to work together, collaborate to make this a beautiful community where students can have pride overall, not just that Cesar Chavez, it sounds like they're doing an awesome job, but that needs to be all around the community. And also, and excuse me because I was trying to collect all my thoughts and words, I do believe in this district's vision and mission, so I do expect an expedited action to get that issue regarding the buses or any other hazard. Unfortunately, Mary Chapa has been an eyesore for a long time. I do think about the people passing through, looking over the bridge and thinking this is a dump site. It's honestly just not acceptable. Everywhere else, it appears you guys are doing an awesome job academically and with other schools' beautification, but this one is a big minus. I was listening to Ms. Amezcua's ecology action. Well, I'm sorry, your name? Mercado. Ecology action walking to school and finding out of things that, you were not aware of. Again, I cannot see or understand how nobody can be aware of the safety issues that Mary Chapman has with those buses or having a lot of homeless camping out around the school site. And I believe, I'm trying to look through all my little scribbles here. For now, I believe that's all I want to address. Again, I believe that you will take the action necessary to take care of this concern. And keep up the work, good work, and all that is good. And let's strive to improve and better in other areas that we need to grow in. And that is all.
Hello, my name is Sonia Luna, and Belia Luna is in TK at your school. She's in the virtual program. I would want for you guys to have an independent study because I'm sorry, but I don't have confidence in your guys' school right now. So with that being said, my story goes like this. So I asked when the whole mask mandate started, what are you guys gonna do if she doesn't follow the rules? What are you guys gonna do? And so basically it was recommended that if she wasn't gonna keep it on, keep her at home. So I did, and I have seen the difference between my child and other children. And you guys have to understand, COVID, it's a virus. It's a virus, it happened, it's not gonna go away,
Because of the people on Zoom, I'm sorry, you can't use them.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's not gonna go away. So one thing that is gonna probably last forever is gonna be mental health. And I think sometimes you guys may have tunnel vision and you guys may see like, oh, okay, we're gonna protect them from a 14-day period of being sick. But you guys see what's going on in the high school. You guys see a lot of problems, and I know that she just said that there's a lot of problems. And I've been watching you guys, and from what I see, I just don't have confidence. So I want to stay in the school program with some sort of independent study so I could be at the collective and maybe have input so you guys could do better. And so I'm sorry, I know that you guys had this whole presentation and everything, but I have seen in the community that I work with the impact that it has had on the children. I've been doing my job for like almost 10 years, and I'm not an expert, but I can tell you that kids are going through it bad. And it's not fair because little kids are in a theta brainwave state until they're 7. So if you teach them something, if you teach them the ABCs, they'll always divert back to that state of mind. So if they have some traumatic experience, like if you don't wear your mask, you're gonna kill your grandma. That's traumatic. And so I've seen it in my own family. And so with just that part of what you guys pushed forward, I don't have confidence. Like I understand that COVID was prevalent and gonna be prevalent, but I think you guys have to address. Last time I heard suicide in the high school, I don't know what somebody addressed, and it's like, come on, you guys gotta not have tunnel vision and see that there's a big mental health problem. And I mean, and amidst of the COVID and all of that stuff, y'all gotta do something. And please keep the independent studies, because as of right now, I'm not gonna send her to school.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's sad to hear all this thing that's happening within our schools, and I agree we need to do a lot better. I worked with 3 of the schools with the safe route, to school. Boy, thank you, Tony. I've seen you there. Like I maybe said not at the high school, but maybe next time. It's really sad to see, that there's a lot of problems within the walking distance of the children. not only around the schools, but also, we have kids that go to high school from 3rd Street and everywhere. Same thing with Vista Verde, so I am glad that this is, here, and it's hopefully that we can get all the streets and the safety for the kids. I also heard the comment about the buses. I think we talked about that. Would you believe that somebody said, why are your buses in your backyard? I said, no, they're not. So, I wish that you guys would remove those buses out of there, because there was also an old van there. You're gonna start having some cats, stray cats, etc., and where they're gonna go? In my yard. I don't want no cats, so that's for that. There's also on your consent agenda, normally, Ms. Jaime, you always say, no, you can't pull it out, so I hope that when you come to the consent agenda, you let me pull out an item that I'm interested in.
I'm sorry, but no, you can, our
We've done
lawyer
it
right here,
before.
he can attest to
We
that.
had
We
it.
have never done that I know.
We had it before. My husband fought for it and he got it, so I don't know why. But if you have the attorney here, then that would be great. If you don't want me to go ahead and pull it out, then I can tell you, you guys gotta do better than what it is. Because right here, it says Williams Uniform Complaint 3rd Quarter Report. What schools? What schools? What's happening? You guys need to be more detailed so that parents know what the hell is going on here. Sorry for the bad language. But you know what? We need to look at the consent agenda, because I know that they used to let us pull it out. And if not, then I will hear it from the horse's mouth, I guess. Thank you.
Hello, Wes White from Salinas Monterey County Homeless Union and John Doe 13K production. Just want to touch a little bit about the homeless issue. People need to be somewhere, and more than likely these folks are your neighbors. You've probably even run into them before. If we're actually, the same way that we're teaching children is the same way we should be treating people, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, of course, not let them run away with it, but being authoritative, not authoritarian. And how do we bridge that gap? Because every jurisdictions around here, all the cities send them to Salinas. And so now you're just getting rid of the problem. Send them further down the river. They come to Salinas and of course, they're attacked constantly. The train tracks is private property. So they don't even have to provide any services for folks on private property. If they're on public property, then there's a thing called Martin versus Boise. If you don't have enough shelter, then you can't kick them out of where they're at on public property. So of course they shoot people away. And how do you get up the strength and the ability and the mental fortitude to resist and stay where you're at? Because you're landless. They're not homeless. They're landless. They're taking their home with them everywhere they go. That's what you want to get rid of, is their home. Now they're left just being on their feet. Well, now they need food, clothing, and shelter. Okay, we'll give them food, we'll give them clothing, but if they can't pay for shelter, where do they go? Obviously not here. You can't be here. How much of the police officer's day says you can't be here? 30 to 40% in Salinas. Easy. We're not treating the problem. We're treating the problem as in, oh my God, they're there, get rid of them. We're not treating the problem as in, those folks need help. Those folks need redirection. They're a part of society, supposedly. That's what we teach our children. So we're supposed to take care of everyone. But yet the attitude still pervades. Not anywhere near me. Just get rid of them. That needs to change. We need to be what we expect our children to be. We need to be those positive role models. Please, I understand the issue, but it's a sweep, and my concept is please stop the sweeps. Connect people with services, and actually provide housing. If you're going to take the housing people are providing for themselves, then you shouldn't be able to then you can take away people's housing. But if you can't provide people housing, then you shouldn't be able to take away the housing they're making for themselves. And if you don't want them at the bus station or in the buses, that's understandable. But where do they belong? And these are your neighbors. The reason they stay in Greenfield is because they know people here, they've lived here, some of them expect to die here. And we shouldn't be taking that away from people. That's just common dignity in my mind.
I just want to say, if you guys can be a bit considerate about
use the microphone.
Guys come back from closed session, because we do have kids sitting down and somebody just got reprimanded for suggesting something. But anyways, besides the fact. And I was thinking, safe school routes, maybe we should close the back area, because if we do have homeless people back there, we need to think we have kids going to school through the back. close that area up because it's dangerous for them to be walking in the morning if there's homeless people. Or whatever can happen. Let's reopen the bus section area for the kids to go through. Safer, faster to go in. Let's clean that place up in the back. And also, I was listening to what Cesar Chavez has to say about the kids and stuff. They do a lot of stuff for kids. I would like to hear for all kids to do that horse training. I want to see that for all kids, not just one school or two schools. All means all. I think all kids should have that privilege to attend that place too as well, because I think all kids should see the same thing, not just one school. So let's appreciate this, and let's have all activities that are done at one school done at all schools, because I do think that they should all be doing the same stuff, not just one or the other, or not that school or just this school. Let's have all these kids do a bunch of insights, let's travel. And I still want to go ahead and, reiterate, let's get those kids sent off to UC Santa Cruz for girls in engineering. Please, this is really important. We already have the engineering, we have the Lego stuff for all the kids. And we have, let's focus on all kids. Please, thank you so much.
Before we move on, I'd just like for the record to share that the reason that Claudette was walking back and forth was because she was trying to get Ms. Heckman on the line. She's been having connectivity issues since we started our meeting. With what Ms. Heckman, it's not my place for me to share what she has been sharing of her situation. Tonight, I think, is a special night, and I'd like to just let everybody know, let the public know that Vice President Heckman will be running the meeting or some of it because of given her circumstances. And so we're gonna give the mic to Vice President Heckman. So your first part, Vice President Heckman, is a GTA report. I will report on what we've decided on closed session, okay?
Okay, so at this time, does the GTA union have a report?
And we do. We have a GTA member here. She's going to take the podium.
Excellent.
Hi Dee, it's Maribel. Good to hear your voice.
Hi, Maribel. Nice to hear yours.
I'm here to represent GTA. I'm Vice President 2, and we're just really excited. We know that our leaders at the district office have been doing such a great job in just working with our union. We're so happy with the good relationship that we have. We're happy to see that there is a push to continue to have the same administration. We couldn't be happier about it. Speaking of the Lego and engineering, we were really excited because I had the opportunity for my position to meet with a school from San Mateo, and they came down to look at our Lego labs and talk about how we started implementing, and myself and another GTA member were able to kind of give them a tour and explain the things that are happening here. And we were very happy to share all of the doubts that at first we had, or the concerns or the issues that are now getting cleared up. And it just reminded us how far our district has come. I was born and raised in Greenfield, and I went to all of the honors and AP classes that I could. And I went to college and I realized that honors in Greenfield is not the same thing as honors in other places.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of saying, I double majored in 4 years. I got a 4.0 in my teaching credential, and I came right back to give to my community as soon as I could. I taught at Vista many years. I was very proud to be there. Our scores just kept getting better and better. I remember the first year I came to Vista, I couldn't believe how terribly it was run. And I was afraid to go warm up my lunch. I go to Vista now, and I'm so pleased to see all the amazing things happening. Of course, nothing's perfect, and there's always some stuff to be worked on. But anyway, as GTA members, we're just very happy with our administration. We know that things are getting better and better, and we just hope to continue to have this positive relationship that we have. Thank you.
So, next one is the CSEA report. Are there any lovely CSEA people wanting to give us a report?
There's no one here to report for CSEA.
Okay, board members report.
Okay, so some of the things I was involved with this past month was the regional, there was a regional CSB delegates meeting. We talked about many different things, but the main thing we're talking about is that we're talking about having better regulations in terms of recall elections for school board, perhaps have a higher threshold. I understand it only takes 20 people in some school districts to have a total recall, which is a total, very high expenditure of time and money for the school district. And so we're trying to, we don't want to stop the process, but we just want to have a little bit higher threshold before people, do these recalls. And sometimes these people are doing recalls because it has nothing even to do with schools. They're just trying to make a statement or something. So that was the main thing that came out of that meeting. Also went to a Marin County School Board Association meeting, and we talked about having it live during next year in May. We're looking for sponsors, and then at the next meeting we're going to look on putting together a program for that year. So that was just for that. Oh, okay. So a few weeks ago, I was a part of a education coalition. Lobby group that went and did some Zoom visits to some of our legislators in Sacramento. And some of the things we had talked about, there's a bill out there, SB 878, which is it's full funding, full universal funding to school transportation. We fully fund transportation at all school districts. I know there's been a lot of talk over the years, but nothing's really happened. In the last 10 years, I guess we haven't even had a COLA increase. So we're trying to put that in there. So that's what we're trying to do. So far it's looking good. I believe this one actually got out of committee, and now it's before some of the legislators to vote on that. So that's a good sign. Hopefully they'll get that passed. Get signed by the governor soon. Another bill that we're advocating for is SB 830. It's a supplemental funding based on average daily membership enrollment. This is to shift California school funding formula to enrollment-based by changing the state's current school count policy from average daily attendance to average daily membership. Funding schools based on enrollment, which is how district's budget would provide more funding for all districts, and especially help districts with low-income communities that tend to have higher rates of absences. That's another one that is looking good. There are some folks there that doesn't think it's sustainable. But when we make our argument, we say, let's give it a try, and we can always make adjustments afterwards. There's only 6 states, I believe, all the other states, they have enrollment-based formula. We're one of 6 states that doesn't have that. So hopefully that we can change some minds in Sacramento and get that passed as well. So far that's looking pretty good too. Another bill that we have out there is there's something called a Classified School Summer Assistance Program. I'm not sure if our district is participating in that. We're trying to make that permanent so that because some districts don't want to get into that because it's not permanent. So they said, well, we don't want to just do a one-time thing. So hopefully, not only will they make it permanent, but they're going to fund it to increase the funding to $90 million to ensure a full dollar-to-dollar match by participants. There's no cost to the school district. It's the employees, I believe it's like 10 or 11 month employees. So they, they're not full-time employees, 12 month employees. So they would, it's like a savings, so, you know, they, out of their monthly paycheck, they take a certain dollar amount out, and then the state would match them. And so this avoids them having to go and, you know, have difficulties in the summertime where they don't have a paycheck coming in. So that really does help out families, so we're trying to get that at least permanent. Okay? And so, one other thing, is like, go on forever, some of this stuff. So, one more is, there's a assembly bill, it's called Charter School Closure Accountability. This is to put some regulations so when a charter school does close, if they have any leftover funds, that will go to the local public school district. And then also to, if they have students still there, then they have to make provisions for them to be dispersed into the public system, not just leave them hanging out there. And then the public schools just have to kind of figure things out. So, and also to, what is it? Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
the other thing is
You're keeping it on, right?
to prevent the facilities they have, to keep that public, because some of these folks, I guess they're able to, using existing laws.
I'm sorry, girlfriend.
To rent it out to someone else, like privately, so they're still making money off of it, and so that's not right. So it should go back to the school district, but if they're not using those buildings. And I think that's about it. Oh, two more things, real quick. Budget-wise, we're hoping that the governor does agree with his own proposal about the $500 million more going to special education, and he said he was going to do that, and we're really hoping to do that. And the other thing is professional growth classified staff. Currently, there's nothing permanent in terms of professional growth monies for classified staff. We want to make that permanent. They do that. They have permanent funding for certificated staff for professional growth, and we just want to put it in there just to say that we will also have funding, you know, for the classified as well on a permanent basis. So that's all I have to say. Other than one more thing. So not this Saturday, but next weekend, I'll be going as representing CSB, the delegate assembly for all the school board members in Monterey County, and there's a number of things that they would like some of the school board members to weigh in on. We're going to be having some workshops talking about strengthening local governance, or secure fair funding, improve working conditions for schools, for children, and ensure equity and achievement for all. So I will be sending this little thing here and then to board members, and they can weigh in. You know, they can give me some information, feedback, so I can take it to the meeting and share that with what we feel. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I want to just apologize for most of the parents leave for running out of late in closed session. We have to be discussing some items that was not provided to the rest of the board members. So I know we have to take time back and forth, so we have to take business. So I really apologize, and my apologies to all, to the staff and to the parents, especially those that come in the way with the kids and they have to leave due to, we were spending, but it's like we're doing business of the public, and we do have to take care of the items. So we're gonna be discussing later on. But I want to say thank you to Cesar Chavez, great presentation. I'm happy to see they're gonna be Bluestone 2 school, so that's nice. And also, I want to share that, thank you, Superintendent, for, I know what was one of the items of the goals for your evaluation was to do that parent conference, and I know you hold that parent conference. It was heartbreaking and sad because almost probably about 12 parents came. There was not a lot of parent involvement, and now you have to pay a lot of fees for, we had a great speakers, and I was sorry that they wouldn't benefit from that. I think it was really good, organized, a lot of, great speakers, especially, from Blue Zones and doing that presentation, giving a lot of tips and a lot of strategies how to stay healthy, how to be healthy. So I know the community lost a lot, a great speaker, Coach Alvaro Venegas, he was here. I know we have to pay for it, and I think I was glad that some of the students who were from Saturday school were able to attend and benefit from that. But hopefully in the future we could, do a little bit more research on how to engage more parents. I know we're paperless, but I think sometimes with the population that we're serving, we need to engage more, make a phone call, and contact them, the parents, to be able to benefit from them. And I have the opportunity to participate in the Teacher of the Year countywide celebration at the embassy in Seaside. Kudos to Ms. Sigüenza. She was recognized, and also her daughter, and that's history. Mom and daughter, great role model. So I think in seeing, Simon Valdez was another of our class 5 employee. Hopefully he could be able to make it to the state. There was a lot of, I think the district, kudos to Tina. She advocate for all the, I think, classifications. You always put a lot of, our members there, are people there to be recognized. So I really appreciate that.
Here.
And then I know, Mr. Silva, congratulations, and I know you're gonna be retiring, but we're gonna see you around here. Thank you for all you do. I know you for so many years, so I would say a little bit, so. So thank you for all you do for the community, for taking care of all our students, and for that great heart that you have. And thank you to Doña Leonor, great model. Thank you for all you do.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there. I've been kind of sick. So this past month, I was fortunate to be able to attend a conference in Washington, D.C., the Coast to Coast 2022 Advocacy. During our time there, so it was a little different than what we usually go to CSBA. Usually CSBA has a bunch of sessions. This one was a little bit different. This one was more of lobbying. They kind of met with us, and then they told us what we were going to lobby. We did get to meet Chris Soto, which is the deputy to Secretary Cardona of Education. Mm-hmm. We got to meet him in his office, so we were the only district that got to go and lobby. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we're listening.
I can.
President, oh, okay. Sorry. We got to meet with him, so we got to lobby. We got, we talked about funding, and right now listening to Trustee Kong about, the funding that we're gonna get. We actually did talk about that, as, for special education, for mental health, for nutrition. And I don't know, am I missing something, President Jaime? Because I know you were with me, so we went together. If I did, you'll probably say it in your report. I also was able to attend the annual ceremony. Congratulations to Ms. Sigüenza and Mr. Valdez as well. That's about it for me.
Well, I've been able to attend the solar arrays that we were put in front of all the different schools, and that was quite wonderful. And then I did go to 2 out of the 4 what do you call them, back to school nights, I believe they're called, and just saw some of the most inventive stuff from our children. The cars and all that good stuff. Just really unique robotics. And I got to see some of that. And then I will be attending my own celebration of life this Saturday at
Sunday.
this Sunday, thank you, at Vista Verde from 1 to 4. Everybody's invited to come. And hopefully I'll make it. And I get to say goodbye to my beautiful community. I think that's all at this point.
Thank you, Vice President Heckman. And so
You're
now
welcome.
I will be reporting. I will start with the Coast to Coast Advocacy Conference in Washington, D.C. And just like Clerk Madrid mentioned, it was pretty different dynamic of what we're used to when we go to conferences. I had previously been to D.C. to advocate, so I felt like I knew, or I was a little bit more ready, and so it was kind of fun to see everybody think that, you know, we had an appointment and they were gonna just walk us in and respect our appointment. Well, if you've lobbied in DC, it doesn't work like that, right, Superintendent? There was a lot of times of waiting, uncertainties of if we were going to be seen or not. And so it was hosted by CSEA and ASA, and we went through a variety of preparation sessions to really discuss what we should be lobbying. And what stood out a lot to our team was the amount of advocacy that's going around across our state for mental health, teacher retention, and how are we going to continue with what we have established in districts with ESSER's fund, and to move our programs forward. I think what really stood out was that California is very dynamic, and so it was all board or superintendents just from our state at this conference, and so I almost felt like they were preaching to the choir of what was going on. And when we talked to Deputy Soto, really I want to commend Superintendent Alban and Assistant Cortez, Superintendent Cortez, for really leading that conversation. You know how we go to meetings or talk to people, and sometimes they look like they're listening only but not hearing. Like he really was hearing what we were saying. He jotted down a lot. They were very good at highlighting the needs of specifically our district, along with Clerk Madrid, who talked about the importance of special education. I mentioned a lot about the early child development and how we can grow that program here in our district, because I think if we start early, we will in the long run save money and save children from being, you know, behind academically. Then we also got to sit with Jimmy Panetta, which was really nice. He was very welcoming. He also really heard our concerns, our thoughts. It was also nice to see that one of his, what was he, superintendent? Intern, I'm sorry. One of the interns was actually a 22-year-old Watsonville kid. And he really had a lot to share with us about his experience there, and we just felt so proud, because it's like someone that's from our home, close by, and really knows, you know, the challenges here within, you know, our county or nearby our county. But I think for me, what really stood out was that at federal level, they're not seeing the value of the different jobs and the careers that a school district entails. With that being said, they talked about how federally they should look at, you know, a bus driver being as essential as a teacher, as a counselor, as a therapist, as a director. Same with nutrition, or any classified staff should also be acknowledged and viewed as an asset to this district, or to the districts, as much as our certified staff. With that being said, the same for teachers. You know, the big question that everybody had was, how are we going to retain teachers? This is a nationwide problem right now. It's not just here in our district, it's not just here in the state, it's a nationwide problem. And what was talked a lot was, again, there's not that respect for the education field. You know, growing up, I remember that we were raised to respect our teachers, listen to our teachers, and whatever the teacher said, that's what we did. And that kind of, in the way, has been lost. But more importantly, it saddened me that we all were in the same room talking about how at federal level, they don't see the value of education positions, and that's why it's hard to retain, because, you know, there might be a IT person here at a district working, and then they get another type of opportunity that pays a little more. So people go to what's more convenient on their personal for their families, and so it makes it challenging for districts to retain staff just across, and they've seen it more through COVID. Another big topic was mental health. It's a big deal, and I am glad that they're getting shaked up about the importance of mental health, so we can address some of the concerns that today were shared actually. So we're hoping that that happens. I know that we also talked to the USDA, is she the secretary of USDA, Superintendent for Nutrition? I know that she said that up until June 30th, that extension of the e-pandemic card will be offered. And so they're nervous because they feel like it's something that we should continue to advocate. And I think it's a good idea, because we don't want children to go hungry or have to worry about food. And so she's hoping, along with the rest that were there, that it goes through and it's addressed and it's extended a little longer. Also on April 30th with Trustee Heredia, I also participated in the parent conference, and she's right, it was a small amount of families, but on the flip side, on the positive, it was nice to have, again, an in-person conference within this school year and not ending the school year without doing anything. We learned, you know, we collectively discussed, you know, what would be good days or times or months with some of the parents that were there, and you know, it was a trial and error maybe, but at least we got it going, and I don't think that conference is going anywhere. If anything, it's going to come back probably next year stronger. It was really nice to hear Alvaro Venegas speak about how, as parents, as community, how are we going to get our children to, you know, see the value of higher education. You know, just today with Ms. Cruz, it was really nice to see her mom, that proud moment that she, you know, she's seen her daughter get awarded. And so that was what they touched on a lot, how. And I think that a lot of us here in this room grew up here and have been in the same struggle, and our parents have only wanted but the best. But based on what he was talking about, it was more like, yes, it's great, but how are we going to do it? And I reflected that my own children are being raised by this community, by our community, and not by myself, because as some might know, I don't really have family here. So my kids have been taken care of by neighbors, by, you know, community members, and I am forever grateful for that. And that's why I truly believe in what he was talking about, the how. May 3rd, we also, Trustee Heredia and I were able and honored to attend the Teacher and Classified Award dinner. It was a really nice dinner. Just like she said, congratulations to Mr. Simon and to Ms. Iwenza, very well deserved. I was kind of sad because there was a lot of nominees from our district. I think we were the district that had the most, and I only think that because we were sat like literally right in the front. And it was like everybody was asking, how did you all get here to the front? And I'm like, I don't know, but it was nice because we had closed seats, so we were able to take good pictures for everyone. I encourage our staff and certificated staff that if they get awarded next year, or our nominees, that they go, because it's a big deal, and it's a time to really attest to their hard work for their district or our district. Also on Wednesday, May 4th, it was the lunches for teacher and classified appreciation. And right before we got to that, I had the opportunity to also participate at ASA with the Safe School Route team. And there we had Greenfield Chief, Councilwoman Martinez, parents, and really what was really nice was to see citizens that don't have kids there, and really show their interest of, making sure that the kids walk to and from school safely. I thought that was really nice to see that. It was also a breath of fresh air to see that, there was a few city officials there, to really start bridging and working together as we should, because we're a small community. And I've always said, we might agree to disagree, but I think we all have the same focus. There might be different ways and roads of how we want to get there, but I think if we all have love for our community, and I think it's time. I know that in the past, on behalf of the district, we have reached out to the city to have those meetings. I hope that they do happen in the near future. And I also wanted to make the comment of, yes, closed sessions sometimes can be long. I want to think or remember that it's not every board meeting that they're as long, but it's important business that we need to conduct. And the reason that we start at 6 is because we want to be mindful and accommodating to our fellow board members who are coming from work from out of town. And so that's why we kind of start a little late. But needless to say, like Trustee Heredia mentioned,
Thank you.
it's important to get this stuff done and make the best decisions that we can collectively. And that's all I have to report for now. Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Sure, so thank you. First of all, I'd like to recognize CBO Mooneyham for an excellent budget workshop just before here. I think it was part of our governance calendar to make sure that we're always aware of the budget. This past few years have been very unique in the, not necessarily was it always the same trickling sources of funding, but there was also very unique one-time funds that we've learned, that we have received over the last few years, and then of course what's coming up with the May revision. And so it's really important to have you all have that knowledge at the dais when we're making those big decisions. And so I wanted to say thank you for your preparation for that workshop just before today's meeting. Also want to say that our last meeting was just before spring break. And so I want to welcome everyone back from spring break. And part of our spring break was our DC trip. And so I think it was a wonderful experience to be arm in arm with the CSEA Association, California School Board Association, united with the California AXA Coalition. So our California superintendents and administrators, arm in arm, advocating for our school district. I'm very pleased and proud to say that on the Hill, they know exactly where Greenfield is. Monterey County was very well represented by our school district, the only school district that attended from Monterey County, and so very proud of that representation. Also want to echo meeting with Jimmy Panetta, meeting with Chris Soto, all those kinds of things just don't happen. It takes persistence, it takes relentless advocacy on behalf of the students that we serve. And I think I want to echo what our Madam President mentioned and how we hold the students of Greenfield in high regard, as well as all of the families. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here doing the work that we do. It is a thankless job, and sometimes it is overlooked, but I think we do it for the right reasons because we love our children, we love this community, and for those of us who grew up in this town, is an extra layer of passion and advocacy that we feel our kids deserve on our behalf. I also want to mention that yesterday and the week when we came back from DC, I was able to speak on 2 panels. One of those sources, the ELO, which is the Extended Learning Opportunity Grant, I was one of only 3 superintendents in the whole state of California that was selected to speak on a panel for all California school districts on behalf of what we're doing here in Greenfield, so very proud of that. And then yesterday spoke with, on a panel for CDE on the same endeavor. And so really making sure that Greenfield is recognized for the work that we put forward. The parent conference, I want to thank our family and engagement community team led by Director Amesqua, Mr. Silva, and the entire team. It's a lot of planning and a lot of phone calls and a lot of reaching out to our parents to make that happen. We can't make decisions for our families. I need to remember and remind us all that we just came out of a pandemic. Our families are not always ready to come out of the house and join in large congregations. And so in speaking to many of the parents, they were very thankful for you, for all that you did. And so I want to just say thank you to you for being that. Real support at all of our sites for our family and community. So just really all the work that was there. And I also want to thank our team for giving also of their Saturday to make sure that we are serving our community. So thank you for that. On that day, we didn't have just our parent academy. We also had a teacher academy. And so I don't know if Ms. Barba's gone, but under Ms. Cortez's leadership and all of our coaches did a great job working with about 50 teachers that were here at the central office receiving training to make sure that we are doing everything we can to support our students in the classroom. In addition to that, we had students at all of our sites working on stomp rockets and science experiences with under Director Vasquez over there. So thank you for that. Want to also share that we did have that recognition that was very well attended. I think one of the best ones is when we have CSEA and CTA arm in arm together and recognizing them at that dinner last week on Tuesday. And so I think that was a very wonderful thing to be able to celebrate on stage all the people that are doing really great things in our district. And then lastly, on last Friday, as part of our AXA Awards, we also had some awardees in Greenfield that were administrators for our Region 10, which is not just Greenfield and it's just not Monterey County. It's all of Monterey County, all of the Monterey Peninsula, all of San Benito County, as well as Santa Cruz County. And Ms. Martinez won a Leader in Excellence Award. Mr. Mercado also won the Vice Principal Award for the entire Region 10. And then I was able to receive award as well for Superintendent Excellence in Leadership. So thank you. So, and I just want to conclude with, we can't always make everyone happy in our community, but we strive to do our very best. And as a leader of this district, I continue to strive to do my very best to lead our community as well. And at times I may not be popular, but at the end of the day, I think I do the best that I can to serve this community. And I hope that I have the community's backing behind me.
And so now moving on to the 2021-2022 Lcap quarter third update.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into quarter 3 progress. As you know, throughout the school year, we want to predict how we're going to do on our Lcap. That will come to you for public hearing in the June meeting and then for final approval at the second meeting in June as well. And so we want to have our team up here to go through our quarter 3 progress. So we're going to take you through the local and state indicators, each of them. And this isn't not something new. You've seen this, you're accustomed to our quarterly report. So we won't go through every single detail. We'll kind of skim over the major points so that you're aware of how we're progressing through this last few days of school. Cool. All right, awesome. And so here's the purpose of our presentation for you tonight. We're going to go over the local and state indicators. We're also going to remind you of our goals and actions and then continue to implement through the end of this school year for 21-22. All right, and so just a real quick reminder, these are the local and state indicators that we know that we're going to be held to as a school district in every school district in the state of California. You'll see the ones there in green are the local indicators that we're going to go through with you and show you our progress. And then we'll also go over the ones in yellow, which are the state indicators, and share with you some local progress on those. All right, and And so you've seen this before. This is the very last year. We were scored with the state, local, and state indicators back in 2019. As you know, they were suspended during our COVID years. And so now that is coming back this school year with our state testing that's going on right now. Okay, these are our 3 Lcap polls that you'll see coming back to you next month. And we continue to feature and focus on culture, academics, and community. And as a reminder, when we, 5 years ago, when we looked at our last set of data, we did have quite a bit of red. And so we're, over the last 5 years, we've progressed. And this is the last school year where you're seeing less and less red as we move to progress monitoring and increasing our results. All right, so local indicator number 1, these are the basic services. And so this has progressed this year, continue to progress. We have 100% of our teachers compliant, and they continue to be. We have 100% of our materials that are state approved, as well as our facilities that are, when Williams comes through and reviews our facilities, we're 100% compliant. So that's a standard met. And here's some of the things that we do to prove that we are working towards that standard met. So you'll see there the California Teaching Credentialing Office is something that we consult with to make sure that we're credentialed, fully credentialed or in progress towards meeting that. Those sufficiency reports is evidence, and as well as our FIT tools that Fernando works with our visitors when they come through. Okay, state indicator, here's a couple examples of what those look like. For state indicator number 2, implementation of state academic standards. This is something that we take great pride in when we implement each of the lessons in the classrooms. And so at this time, we continue to be standard met in this area with the implementation of standards. And some of the evidence is on this slide here. As I mentioned earlier, we have our Saturday academies. We meet with teachers after school. We have coaching support. We bring in consultants to help support with the data analysis. We partner with like the Greenfield Science Workshop, and all of these identified actions here are fully paid out of our Lcap. And then there you see some pictures, and then you'll see on the right side our curriculum guides. It takes a lot of work for our teacher teams to meet together and fully design a guaranteed viable curriculum, and that's what our teacher teams do on a weekly basis. And then you'll see some of our teachers there that participate in our academies. All right, and number 3 is for Mr. Tony.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so local indicator number 3, parent engagement. As you can see here, we continue throughout the whole year to engage our parents through DAC, DLAC, Migrant, School Site Council, and ELAC. And super proud to say that this year we had over 2,694 stakeholder responses from staff, parents, students, and community. Excuse me, we go back. Staff, parents, and community. And so that number actually went up 271 from last year. So our parent engagement has been at its highest. It just kept on getting higher each year, even with the pandemic. So as you can see in the next one, the cafecitos, we had 1,291 participants from our August to April cafecitos. And then also our parent academies, we had over 501 participants from August through May. And here is just a slide showing you the participation that we had with the Lcap survey. So again, we had over 4,000 surveys. 1,300 of those were students, and again, our number going up by 271 this year with 2,694 parents, staff, and community stakeholder surveys. And here is just going to give you a little recap of all the services that we provide. Our family engagement team here at our Family Resource Center provides ongoing assistance every day of the week. There's always something that's happening. We're constantly looking for new programs, and that isn't going to end. And luckily now, because of Lcap, we do have staff in our FRC that are there 12 months. There's no more only summer times of break. Those services are going to continue year-round. And here, just wanted to highlight a couple pictures. So we do have our Parent Academy Conference. We were a small group, but a mighty group. We have to say, the group that was there gave a lot of feedback. It was well received. They said, of course, we're gonna do it again. We wanna come back. One thing we're not gonna do is make excuses, but we will point out that there's no way we're gonna compete with First Communions. First Communions are definitely gonna beat out Parent Academies any day. The picture on the right, you can see this is a walking audit. This picture is actually from Arroyo Seco Academy. This was one of 5 GUSD Safe Route to School walking audits, and I'm proud to say that I attended all 5 with them, and we had a great turnout. We had city representatives, we had police, we had the superintendent of facilities and maintenance for the city, and parents, a handful of parents at each of the school sites, all giving really good feedback. And at points, it did sound like we were pointing fingers at each other. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. But with these type of audits, that's what we needed to hear. We needed to see what wasn't working, what we need to fix. So great turnout at all 5 of the audits. Really looking forward to seeing that feedback from Ecology Action. The bottom left picture is our walking MOI. That is something that we're going to continue on doing with Blue Zones. That is something that our school sites are all doing, our staff is doing, and we're currently working on becoming the district becoming Blue Zone work site. And so we are just shy, if I'm not mistaken, we have 71 points. We need 80 points to become a worksite approved Blue Zones site. So we're really looking forward to accomplishing that before the summer comes. And again, just continuing with Brighter Bites, and every other week they give more than 400 boxes to Oak Avenue and Arroyo Seco. And that is something that we're trying to bring to the rest of the schools. It's not us stopping that, it's more of Brighter Bites and the grant that they have for it. That's all they're able to provide. But we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, next year we'll be able to bring it to more of our sites. So that slide doesn't work. Oh, there it goes.
Okay, thank you. So that was local indicator 3, so we're going to move to local indicator 6. And this one has to do with our student surveys to ask them how they feel about school. And so we have some local surveys as well as those that are connected to the co-vitality survey. And so it talks about, do you feel safe at school? And then how do we respond upon them saying they do and when they say they don't. And so those surveys will get us to a standard met because we're constantly surveying our students for how they're doing in school together with our counselors. And so here are some of the activities that we do. Kindness Week, Red Ribbon Week, School Spirit Weeks, and all of that is because we want to engage our students in our school communities. Okay, so that's local indicator 6. And here's some evidence of Student Spirit Weeks as well as our students that are at each of our schools. In addition of our local indicators is 7 and 8, and we have to demonstrate to the state of California that we have a well-rounded curriculum for all of our students. And so that includes STEM, robotics, engineering, computer science. We also talk about the visual and performing arts that we provide, in addition to the core subject areas of language arts, math, history, and science. And so this is standard met, and actually is an exemplar from the state of California when they've reviewed our Lcap. And then here you'll see that this did not exist 5 years ago, and so we worked really hard to have a robust curriculum and a master schedule at our middle school that responds to the market trends as well as job markets here in Monterey County for our students to be able to aspire to whatever they choose to do in the post-secondary world. And this one also shows you some of the courses that we now offer at our middle school for the past 4 years. And so those are automation and robotics, medical detectives, computer science for innovators and makers, and app creators. And coming from a high school district, all of these courses would be A through G approved and getting them ready to that post-secondary world upon completion. And so very proud of the schedule that we have over at our middle school. And then here, as you heard tonight, many people recognize our partnership with First and Legos. And so this is the trajectory for our students to continue to build. Every year we have a new theme. And so this is one of those themes that you heard tonight from Cesar Chavez that they showcased over at all of our schools, but was featured tonight during their presentation. And then here's some additional pictures of our happy families at all of our school sites when we got to visit during our last week just before spring break. And I want to echo what Principal Amescua said. Our parents are very proud of the students that they are sending to our schools that are able to engage in the robotics that we didn't have as children. All right, and so then we're going to get into just, again, you've seen this last quarter when we brought it to you. So our state indicators, this was again back in 2019 when we had our last round of testing. But more importantly, I want to show you how we're doing locally. And so every quarter, our teachers are assessing with formative frequent assessments, as well as with the formative interim assessment blocks that the state of California administers or gives to us, so that matches how they're going to do on the state test. And you'll see here the progression. This is an example of 4th grade language arts and how our students are doing with getting a lot closer to meeting the standard or above the standards. Green represents above. Yellow recognizes meeting or near the standard, and then red is very small, and that's the ones that are below standard. And then I'll show you another one when it comes to mathematics. This one you've seen already. Last one we had increased 7.7 points back in 2019, and then locally, here's an example of what we did in 4th grade mathematics. Again, green represents above the standard for all of our 4th graders. Yellow represents near or meeting, and then red is below standard. So a very small portion of the pie. And so our teachers have been working very, very hard to get our students ready for that state assessment, again, that they're taking right now. And there's some examples, again, of our teacher teams working together with all of our school sites to make sure that they're ready for that, for their lessons. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Erin for English Language Arts. English Arts.
And so part of our academic progress is also how our English learners perform. So we don't have any new scores for you. This is the most recent, but they are finishing up the 2022 summative LPAC, and so we're anticipating some good results there and hoping that they are going to continue to grow as well. And then this is our reclassification data over the last 2 years, as well as our initially fluent proficient English data over the last 2 years. And we don't have any new data for that as well, so these 2 slides were the same as the last time we shared, just pointing out how they've grown over the last 2 years. But we will have new data next year after test scores come out, so we'll see how many students we can reclassify then. However, something that is new is that we have set a new target for ourselves for the 23-24 school year. It was at, I believe, 30 or 40%, so it's more realistic to say that our students will grow 5% each year over time. So our new target will be 20% of our students will increase their English language proficiency level on the LPAC by 1 level.
So now we will be looking at State Indicator 5, which is chronic absenteeism. And this really looks at students that are 10% or more absent, right? They're not showing up to class. So we really are stressing the importance of showing up every single day. We utilize attendance task force meetings, the district attorney, but more so the parent and student meetings. Those are what really changes the mindset because we're meeting directly with them. So we have the administration doing that and leading that with the help of our liaisons, counselors, and also social workers. Those are very important to the work that is being done. And then of course, Saturday school. Saturday school, we brought that along. We have completed 6 and we have 3 more to go. And it's been great to see the students coming. You'll see pictures in a bit. But we're averaging around 56 students that are coming on Saturdays. We do compete, of course, we know with sports, family events, but we even have some of the students saying that they want to come back for more. And it's because what they're doing, it's so engaging, and we'll get to see pictures of that. And then below is the monies that are our expenditures to date. So these are our data, our real-time data. And if we look at the column down, we will look at students that are 10% or more chronically absent. So that lighter shade of red. And we will notice that from before, from Q2, we have really dropped. So 403 students are no longer in this column. So this is good. Even though there's 228 students that are chronically absent, we are still working with these students to bring them back on Saturdays to have them finish up these short-term independent studies packets, because some of them in these numbers, they're out ill, right? And so if they're out ill, we give them that opportunity to complete the work. So that's a good thing. We're improving. In the middle column, the red, that is students who are absent 18 or more already at this moment. We did increase slightly by 2. However, we're still working towards that. If you notice, Arroyo Seco, they were at 8 students, but now we've been dropping that. The more they come, the lesser these numbers will get. And if we look, we really want to celebrate the green. 401 students have now improved and are no longer in the chronically absent. So these students are non-chronic. That's 3,027 students that are non-chronic. They're coming to school. So that says a lot about the work that's being done. Despite COVID, right? Despite all of these factors, the mental health that we're seeing. I'm in student services, so I hear a lot about that, right? From parents, from staff, from students. And these are some of the pictures from Saturday school, and you can notice just the enthusiasm, they're creating, they're innovative projects that these students, bless you, that they get to be part of. And just, I love the picture with the girl just holding that model, right? I love it. And then suspension rate. We know that we've seen some increases just with the mental health just coming out of this, and it's hard for sometimes students to control their emotions when for many of the time they were behind a screen, right? And so Q1 is in the first column. We did have 8 students that were suspended. Q2, it jumped up, 26. That's a lot of students to be suspended. And then Q3, it didn't grow by too much. It grew by 2. So now we are at 28 currently, the number of students who have been suspended. So district-wide, we are at 62. But again, we are working hard with our counselors, our restorative justice, PDIS, as well as our social workers that we are fortunate to have this year. And I'm in the works with the Ed Services team along with Assistant Superintendent Cortez, and we are looking to even bring more. We see it, we hear it, and we need to act, and so next year will be even better with the work from the social workers and the supports that we're bringing into play for the upcoming year. And I'll turn it over to perfect timing.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Oh, we have
Yes.
All right, let's see. So we're on I think this is pretty much the last end of it. So want to remind everyone, this is where we ended last time, back in 2019, and we're looking forward to some promising results when those are released later this summer. And so again, recapping on our purpose, Q3, just giving you an update locally on how we've been progressing, and then again, next month, when we come back in June, we'll give you the final LCAP for public hearing, and then that approval at the second meeting in June. And I think that's it. Right.
Thank you, Superintendent Galvan. Now I'll open it. Does anyone have questions or comments?
First of all, thank you for bringing that that actual data for the district. I'm glad to see that and to see that growth. And then seeing that, for all fourth graders, that was the growth district-wide, correct? So, and I also want to kudos to Cesar Chavez and Ocavenue. They grew up one point in absentee, and I was noticing, and also for Arroyo Seco and Ocavenue, because suspensions and everything, I see it they're grown. I see the difference between the other schools. So that's good that Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Amesco, they're doing an amazing job, and also so, and I see that growth in them. And also, I was, we couldn't have, the data for the reclassification, and I know Ms. Ramirez said that they will bring in it next year because now they're doing testing. So, thank you, and this looks, more yellow than less red than 16, 17. So you see that. In the third quarter, I have a quick question, in the chronic absentee. So, I think it was the third quarter. For those students, I know you said there's especially third quarters when we come back. That I think that was back in January when we returned from winters.
Which side of it?
Absentee.
Suspension or chronic absence?
Chronic absentee. Yes. And those, I know she mentioned, there was a lot of students, the third quarter, that when we opened back in January or?
Third quarter is currently.
Currently right now?
Currently, yes, current. So these are our current numbers at the moment. So you can see from quarter 2, we had over 600 in the first column.
Okay.
Yes, and then so on. So if you notice that we really, really just improved overall, except we were up 2 in the middle. So we were up 2 on chronically 18 or more absences. And that's a tough one because we only had so many Saturdays to kind of recoup some of those students. But there was just some students, and we know it's more from the home, that they're having a difficult time transitioning to on campus. And so we're responding by still checking up on them, offering them the service, offering them work. And, but for some, they're not coming to school. And so, but we do work with the district attorney, counselors, home visits, to make sure and to ensure that they're okay. And we want to know why. Why aren't they coming? We do have the independent studies program that I also oversee. I know one lady did speak to it, but we're giving them that opportunity to at least meet with the teacher so that we see you, we know you're okay, and still providing them with the instructional minutes.
Yes, because I know for Mary Chapa and the Vista they increased a lot,
Yes,
a lot.
we did very well.
No, I saw it like,
Like that's a big, red flag. Thank you for the presentation.
Trustee Khan, do you have any comments?
Yes, so thank you for this report. It's very enlightening. Because I have to go back to Sacramento next week to continue to advocate for education. And I'll be sitting before some of these legislators, and they're going to ask me, what are you going to do with that extra money? So if we give you extra money for attendance, what are you going to do with the money? How are you going to help with chronic absenteeism? I'm assuming that we can hire more staff, or we have more investigators. 2 things. Can you tell me 2 things that if our district gets extra money from the state, what we do with that money to help with reduce absenteeism?
So we have it right here on the slide that we've reported, and so Aries data has a lot to do with, as Christine mentioned, our family community liaisons, I can't say it, our counselors, the social workers that we've hired to help support the family. As you know, they've come out of trauma during the pandemic, and so it takes a lot of mitigation to help support them. We also have trainings for RJ and counseling sessions, our restorative justice. A lot of the PBIS goes directly to re-engaging students in our classrooms, and then all that we've expended for hiring staff to come on Saturdays is because that's why we got those 401 absences recouped, and with stellar teaching, because we trained our teachers to deliver that instruction. And so all of those coupled together is what's allowing our kids to re-engage back in school.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk Madrid or Vice President Heckman, do you guys have any comments?
Just thank you, Superintendent Johan. I like the report.
Thank you.
Vice President Heckman? I'd like to say that I know sometimes when we have the kids or ask them to come to Saturday school, it's kind of like, well, why? And you know, it's not fair or it's not right. We shouldn't be making them come. But I think on a positive, it offers the children who are obviously having challenges attending school somewhere to be on a Saturday. I heard from the students, you know, how they are really enjoying the activities. There's been a lot of STEM activity going on, I believe, on Saturdays. So that's refreshing to know that, one, they have somewhere to be on Saturdays. And you know, and especially right now with the agriculture season, you know, coming back, you know, a lot of times, unfortunately, you know, as parents, we gotta do what we gotta do, and sometimes kids stay home alone, and I mean, what better place to be at school? It's somewhere safe, and it's gonna benefit them in the long run to have that little extra of support. So thank you to Superintendent, thank you to the directors for your diligent work in this.
Thank you.
And now, moving on to actually, we have to make a motion to extend the time of the meeting. So, can I get a motion to?
I will make a motion to extend, to continue to finish the business of the district until we go through the agenda.
Do we have a second? I'll second. And all those in favor, let's start with Trustee Arania.
Aye.
Clerk Madrid.
Aye.
Vice President Heckman. Trustee Khan.
Aye.
And myself, President, aye. Motion carried. Yeah, sorry. The positive certification of fiscal year 2021-2022 second interim report.
Yes, so it's my pleasure to bring to you the letter stating that MCOE also agreed with the numbers that were presented to you back in March for the second interim report and the positive certification.
Thank you. Does anyone have comments?
I do have a comment. I just want to say thank you to Annette and Superintendent Galvan for making that being positive. I know we settled down with 21-22 with classified and GTA, and they got their 4% off, and they're retro happy to be able. So that was really good. And then looking, you know, for our budget, very positive. So thank you so much for that.
Trustee Khan, do you have any comments?
No.
Clerk Madrid.
No, I haven't.
I also would like to echo what Trustee Arena said. Thank you so much for your diligent work in doing that. And now we will be moving to travel expenses, VP and AR 3350.
Yeah, okay.
We can open it for discussion.
Yeah, so for discussion. I'm bringing back this, a regulation, AR. The regulation is 3350 travel expenses. And we're here, what I'm talking is about the mileage. When we go to a conference, could be, you know, from north or south, we only determine to pay 200 mileage one way to our staff or to our teachers, any person who goes. So I'm bringing this up because even if I'm asking for, for me, as a board member, I went to a conference back in April, and they said, I'm not gonna be paying you only the 200 miles one way. And then some staff has approached me and said, I'm glad you bring it up because sometimes some personnel get the full trip back, round trip, or the 2 miles. And I think have to be very transparent. If we are gonna be claiming that miles, everyone should be claiming that miles. If for board members saying we don't want to pay the board members driving to any conference, so we could state it in the bylaw in the 900s, or we could even added that. So that's my discussion because it's here and it's affecting me, but also it's affecting all the employees. And I'm here speaking on behalf of all of the employees because I know we travel from here to Sacramento back, or we could be to different areas and get the same amount of reimbursement for the mileage they disturb. I know in the back on back I had been gone to conference and get paid the full amount of this. This time said, oh no, you're not gonna get paid for that. So that's why I'm bringing that for discussion. And we bring with this issue almost for 3 times. So we're here to talk about it. And then I don't think will be, for me, it's not fair just to put in the amount of mileage when somebody else could get the full amount. So we have to be, if they want to go on the train, if they would decide to go on the bus or use the district vehicle, so they could be able to allow us to, or if they want to go by plane. And I know sometimes people like to fly and it's more easier, but sometimes for other people it's not comfortable, flying something, So that's that issue that's bringing forward.
Trustee Khan, do you have?
My only comment is, Trustee Herrera, are you advocating for an increase from the 200 miles to perhaps 250 or 300 miles? Is that something that you're advocating for? Or?
I'm advocating that should be fair enough to get paid. If they go to San Diego, if they go to Sacramento, if they go to Chico, if they go to San Francisco, they should get paid the amount of miles, but they deserve not only one way 200. So I think for everybody, they deserve equal, and we talk about equality. So I think everyone deserves the same thing.
Clerk Madrid, do you have any comments?
Yes, actually I do. Trustee Heredia, you've been here on the board longer, so is this a policy that was already set by you guys or by the previous boards? Because I believe that that's a policy that we have as a whole district, correct?
I think that policy was updated back, we didn't have it, and they were only for some of the employees, not for school, not for board members.
But doesn't our policy state that we are like the employees, or we should be treated like the employees?
Yeah, if you want it just to be the 200 mileage for that, for the board members, should be going back to the bylaw for the 900s. The 90 to 15, where we get the stipend of 220. So we have to be gonna say, we're not gonna be allowing any board members to get mileage get paid for it. So we have to put it there. They're not getting only the 200 because here it's applying only for employees and. Okay.
Vice President Heckman, are you on the line? She's not there. Oh, she's coming. Let's wait for her.
I've been awake this whole time.
Vice President Heckman, do you have any comments in regards to the reimbursement?
I think it should be at par with the reimbursement that people get from, that they get from normal towns. So for example, if they get $600 from, if they get $600, if that makes sense.
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yes, so if there is a, for example, a San Diego one, and they want the price to be down so they can afford to have their family go, then they can't. Yes, sir.
Ms. Heckman, can you talk louder? Because I don't think the audience can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes, I think that it should be the price of what is the price of the, so for example, it would cost $200 to drive down there, and then $220 to park, and then $200 every time you gotta get out to park. If the person chose it to take that way, then that's the way it should be.
So are you?
Even if it was for me. Even if it was for me and I had health reasons why I couldn't do it, I still think that I would have to buck up and do it.
So what I'm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that we should honor the reimbursement policy that we have, and if it's that we decide to drive versus fly, then we should only get what this policy states? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
I know that this has become a topic of discussion, and I know that sometimes it is challenging. I don't think that since we began to discuss this, the question was put if we were doing, for example, a trip here in our state. I'll use San Diego. I don't think that it's been questioned if you want to take that route of driving versus flying. I think that that's to the discretion of each board member. However, I do see here on this bylaw that it says that board members shall be reimbursed for actual and necessary expenses incurred with performing authorized services for the district. Expenses for travel, telephone, business meals, or other authorized purposes shall be in accordance with policies established for district personnel and at the same rate of reimbursement. So what I'm understanding from that is that I think in the last time that we discussed this, Superintendent, you mentioned that if a staff member decides to drive and then someone else flies, the one who drove would get what the flyer got, right? Or it was like a balance.
Yes, current policy reads that it's going to be up to that amount, reimbursables, because we like to send folks the most expeditious route. So if it's a flight and it is like $200 and the equivalent of the mileage is also maybe $300, it'll only be reimbursed up to $200 because it's a personal choice to take a vehicle rather than fly. So that's the current policy as it's written.
So I think that that's the topic. It's in this is the policy, like right now, this is the policy that we have. So I feel like my thought is that we should, as board members, we should get what the staff is entitled to the same, because, you know, we shouldn't be entitled or have special treatment because we're board members. We also get a stipend in the month. That's, you know, besides the point, but I think that we have to remember that we're still using district funds for these reimbursements as, you know, volunteer service as board members. So I think that we really need to take that into consideration. And I don't think that it's something that just happens, because I think that this policy has been, so should, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a policy and it hasn't changed, should we be following it?
Or you could bring it for modifications.
Yes, I know that part, but I just really want to be transparent and clear. Like, if there's a policy, are we supposed to follow it, or could we do special or make special arrangements? Even though there's a board policy, yeah.
So generally speaking, you as the board make the policy. And so we follow your direction. And so if it's a current policy as it is, we need to carry it out to the letter of this policy as you've set forth. Otherwise, we are, as staff members, in violation of your policy. The only way for us to modify that and to exceed it would be if you made that modification. Otherwise, we are willfully going against your wishes as a board, and you govern, and we need to follow those policies. And so right now, the 3 policies you have in front of you have their adopted dates. So they're not new, they've been around for a little bit. And so we've been carrying those out the way you set forth. But it's up to the board to decide how they want to proceed.
So do you have any comparables from other districts of how they do reimbursement for board members? Because specifically, I think that that's been a big concern.
Well, I reached out to a couple, do this here. I emailed several school districts, and 2 responded. Out of the 2 that responded said that their board follows the policies as well as the staff. So it's equal. So whatever the staff gets, the board also follows. And that was from both of those school districts that responded to the email.
Claudette, was there a dollar amount in terms of reimbursement for those districts? Was there like a $200 in there?
No, they just stated, and they sent the policies as well. And whatever the policy says, the board members and the staff follow that board policy.
The only dollars that were attached were for meals.
So I think that we've been saying 200 because this last trip to San Diego, I think roughly the flight was about 140, right? So I think that then that's where you made those numbers, right, Annette, as like a middle, since the flights were about 140, that's what we were reimbursing close to like 200 if you decided to drive. Is that?
I think that's correct. However, I think the 200 number is getting confused with the miles on the actual policy. Because it says if you're traveling in excess of 200 miles. If the driver needs are kind of
okay.
200
Got it.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, if like you said, and we do it for everybody at the district, if the flight is cheaper than driving there, we reimburse by the flight amount, because that's the main mode of travel for the majority of the group that's going. So
When you go to Sacramento, how do you fly? You guys fly from here?
Sacramento?
Or do you guys
No,
go
we
to-
drive.
So
Sacramento.
driving is more than 200 miles from here to
Sacramento.
It's about
How does
214.
staff get paid?
Yeah, it's about
that way?
214 from Sacramento. It's like 2. I drive that often. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
why I
you
put
would
down
have to
my
do a
expense.
comparable and see if the flight is cheaper than.
No, but I'm saying, you get paid, you pay mileage for that when you guys drive to the state, to the California Department of Education. So you guys get the full reimbursement of the mileage, and you're not getting down to.
If the flight is not cheaper than the mileage.
Because you're not
If we
trying
do
to
the
drive.
comparability and we work up the mileage to see how much it would cost you to drive versus how much it would cost you to fly, then whichever one, that's the cheapest mode of travel, and that's what it states in the policy. So it has to go to the cheapest mode of travel.
So, yeah, so we have to be more careful on that because we're not following through, even with the staff, on that.
Well, that's the hard part, so where, I'm gonna drive to San Jose to hop on a plane to go to Sacramento, so it's kind of like a little weird.
We can give you an example. We were just looking at that most recently this week because I have to go to a meeting in Sacramento.
Right.
And the flights were like $500, $600 for any of them coming. Monterey didn't even have any, none. And then it would have been driving to San Jose and then flying to Sacramento, which would have been a round trip of like 500 and something, I think, and further.
So that's why it
And
says,
so
you
then
know,
it was,
it's the cheapest
the
mode of
cheaper
travel.
way is to drive
Right.
that route,
Yeah.
because of the kind
Yeah.
of
The policy basically forces us to look at the comparability between the cheapest mode of travel. So is it flight, is it train, is it driving? Look at those and determine which one is cheapest, when it's over a 200-mile trip. That's what the policy states.
And I think we're going back and forth, but you're not gonna claim only the 200 miles one way. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying that. So, but I think if no, it's the pleasure of the board. It's the pleasure of the board if we want to change it or modify it.
As
or
long-
keep it like that, or
You can
keep
bring
it
it back, but right now it's on an information item, so if you want it to be an action item, you need to bring it back to the board.
I know. Thank you.
I mean, I think I just want to be clear, like, I'm just asking about a current policy. That's all. It's a current policy right now. I don't think anyone is here saying, don't change it, yes, change it, but it's a current policy. And if people are getting overpaid on this, like, topic of reimbursement, while there's a standing policy, then that's a problem, because then we're not following the policy. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't or we can't change it, but we're discussing what's currently. I think that that's the discussion. So if it's the pleasure of everybody to bring it back for an action item, then we can do that to make changes and go from there. Like, I don't think that anyone, I haven't heard from our fellow board members here that we are against it or not. We're just being clear that this is the current policy right now.
So we could bring it for action. I was hoping to, since last time I mentioned to bring it for action, and we can put information discussing the same thing. So it would be great if we could put it in our next meeting for the month of June for action item to see.
Trustee Khan, Vice President Heckman, or Clerk Madrid? Are you guys okay with that, to bring it back for action?
Come on.
I'm okay with it if you guys want to bring it back for action.
Ms. Heckman? No?
I'm willing to bring it back for action.
Okay, then we'll put it back, we'll put it for action.
Are you gonna have comments, public comments?
If you have a comment, you.
I absolutely do. Check your mics.
You turn it on.
Okay, honestly, I find it really ridiculous that you guys are going back and forth. There's a lot of like misinformation when it comes to like staff, even what Annette was saying, it's just like really unclear. I mean, I'm glad Wes is reporting all this because it's just like, you guys are going back and forth. And I want to really thank you, Trustee Madrid. You're not here, but thank you for seconding that decision that Trustee Heredia just made. Thank you for at least taking the ability as a local leader that you were elected to make a decision, not just to sit there and wait until you want to go with the crowd. So thank you for your leadership, Madrid. I see Heredia's frustration. I mean, this is ridiculous. Oh yeah, the flight might be cheaper, yada, yada, yada. But then, oh, Sacramento's closed, well, we're gonna go ahead and drive. Like, it's, you guys just pick and choose. It's honestly, it's ridiculous that you guys are still having this discussion when, I mean, there's other boards that I've heard stories of where they're taking their husbands on trips. They're taking, flying across country with their husbands. Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about that? But that doesn't come to the conversation, right? That does never come to the conversation. But only what certain board members do or say, then they're questioned. We see it. It's a very dysfunctional board right now. It is. It's embarrassing because elections are coming up and we'll see who's going to get support and who's going to get voted back in. And Madrid, again, thank you for your leadership to at least seconding what Trustee Heredia just said.
And just to clarify, it's not just what I want, it's just for all the employees and all the employees and modifying the work policy. So I think we have, so everyone could be and have the same equal right.
And like I said, I'd like to comment, I think that it has been a topic of discussion. It's not that we are not agreeing to it or not. I will repeat myself again. It's what currently states. And yes, I will be very transparent. I know that as board members or staff, it gets challenging to, make these type of decisions of, reimbursements or not, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with public funds. And yes, some of us do take our husbands. I will raise my hand. I do take my husband, but it's at my cost. I pay for his flight. I pay for everything that has to do with my husband going. And so I think that that's also at the discretion of each board member of if we are wanting to take our +1 or anyone in their family. I don't think that that's really the objective here of pointing of who can take who or not. I think that we really need to just move forward and make a decision with this. I don't think that anybody really sounded opposed to this. I'm just stating what the policy states right now. That's it. No, it didn't take the comment. It did not take the comment. I think that, there's nothing to hide of, what goes or if we go to these conferences or not. Clearly, I have nothing to hide because I think Superintendent in this last one posted a picture of some of us with our husbands. So yeah, there's nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide about me taking my +1. And now we are going to move on. Oh.
There was a public comment, but you started talking, you didn't let me.
Bueno, yo voy a poner en el medio, neutral.
Use the microphone.
Ya esto cansa.
The mic.
Sí. Bueno, en este que me traduzca. Para mí es simple, yo sé que a lo mejor no es la mejor decisión, pero hagan un balance, pónganse en el medio. Ok, ¿cuánto se gastó por un vuelo de aquí a San Diego? No más fue el vuelo, fueron otras cosas que incluyeron el vuelo. A mí me gustaría que usted sacara una gráfica. ¿Sabes qué? El presidente Jaime con todo el vuelo gastó tanto. El señor con todo el vuelo, todo lo que se pagó, sacó tanto. Porque si hay mucha diferencia, ustedes decidan. Ya no lo manden a otra junta. Señor toma la decisión ahorita, no mañana. Usted está aquí, nosotros tenemos aquí tanto tiempo y otra vez van a volver a poner la junta para otro día. Ya mejor tomen la decisión. O sea, la póliza está así, pero ustedes tienen el poder de cambiarla. Si no quieren, mejor díganos, ¿sabes qué? No quiero cambiar la póliza, así se va a quedar y se acabó. Pero ya dejemos esto por la paz. Me gustaría que usted sacara una gráfica y dijera, ¿sabes qué? Se gastaron $100 de vuelo de ella, de la presidenta Jaime, y más esto, más otro fueron 150. Así es que no podemos pagarle más a Sonia Heredia, no se puede. Pero, por ejemplo, si se gastó día de venida, no tengo datos fijos, ¿verdad? Vamos a decir que tu vuelo la vez pasada dijiste 165.
145 o 6 me parece.
Ok, ¿no más de ida o de venida?
De ida y venida.
De ida y venida 146, ok.
Sí.
Para que sea claro, muestren los números. Para que sea claro, muestren los números. Así se tiene que hacer, o sea, la política se inventó para arreglar las discusiones y llegar a una decisión. Porque aquí parece que no quieren llegar a una decisión. Así ya está y así se va a quedar. Entonces, para que no se vea que están en contra de Sonia Heredia, pues en los números y se acabó. Pienso que es la mejor manera de hacerlo, ¿no? O sea, estando neutralmente, muestre los números y diga, ¿sabes qué? No te podemos porque mira, se gastó menos y tú estás pidiendo más. O ¿sabes qué? Híjole, pues le pagó mucho más, así es que es justo que, pues, que se te iguale, ¿no? Ahora, creo que aquí hay una controversia de que, pues, parece que no quieren que se vaya manejando. Aquí hay muchas cosas que ya no están bien. Pero lleguen a un acuerdo, o sea, ustedes son gente pensante, ya no den tantas vueltas. La otra vez el señor dice que quiere hacer un comité para tomar esta decisión. No se necesita un comité para tomar esta decisión. Simplemente digan, ¿sabes qué? Sonia Heredia, no queremos cambiar la póliza y así se va a quedar seco. Y ya no manden eso a otra junta. Y se los digo sinceramente, o sea, no estoy defendiendo a nadie, ni estoy a favor de nadie. Simplemente me gustaría que mejor aquí se hablara más de cómo mejorar la educación, porque tengo más de 10 años aquí apoyando a Sonia y se debería de hablar más de cómo apoyar a los niños. Esto pasa a segundo plano. ¿Vale? Gracias.
Gracias.
Should have had a roll by roll.
Someone want to volunteer?
Try to summarize that.
So he helped me out, okay? Because I didn't write it down. I was paying attention to Mr. Heredia. So he is saying that collectively we should come to an agreement or make a decision and not come back and forth about discussing the policy and focus more on the education and the betterment of our students, as well as, no one being ridiculed for deciding to drive or fly, and to be balanced with what is going on and not make it specifically about Trustee Heredia and going against what she's bringing forward. Correct? Stop me if I'm not saying it.
And take a decision.
And to make a decision about it, and that's it, right? Yes?
And then you just missed, he said
You got to be
to,
quicker, Mr. Kong, when you make your decision.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
Okay, if I could say, so at the very beginning, he said, it's very simple. Let's put the numbers out there. And I think that's a really good point. So,
Yes.
sorry, I shouldn't be saying that. The other thing was, let's just put the numbers out there so that we can see them. Let's do a graphic and let's put the information out there. He's not on one side or the other, but it just seems that we're going in circles. And so I think that was.
And I don't think that we want to go in circles. It's not that. Again, I'm reading this policy. It's Trustee Heredia, it's not about you. I respect that you're bringing this forward because it's become a concern. You're mentioning that staff has talked about this, and collectively it sounds like the rest of us are not saying like, no, we're opposed and we're not going to do it. It's just like you always say, I learned that from you. You always mention how we have to be transparent, and so that's why I was talking about what we specifically have. I'm not saying we shouldn't change it. That's not what the sentiment that I have, and that's what I have to say about that. Trustee Khan, or
I was just gonna add to that. It's not just about focusing on me because I want that greedy person. I want it, like I always say, I'm here advocating for the education of Greenfield, for the students of Greenfield. I'm here because I want to give something to my community. I grew up in this community. My parents grew up work on the fields. So I understand how hard it is for parents sometimes to come to the meetings. And I'm here because I'm representing my community. And I want to send a message. And not just because I want the money. No, I don't want the money. What I'm trying to say and understand here is like, this board policy is not working. I said, we need to change the language. My expectation for tonight was to be making an action, not just what I want. And I want, I'm advocating for all the employees. That was my question. Because employees has approached me, we don't get the same amount of mileage when we go to a different conference, or some people they do. So sometimes that's say favoritism, and so and I was, no, I understand, and sometimes people follow that, or we're not following through. So I know sometimes in the ones, you could even see, if you're gonna go to Sacramento, what I want everybody, if you, and it's gonna go, if Tina's gonna go, Sandra's gonna go, she's gonna not claim only on 200 miles only on her way. She's gonna claim, she deserves the whole amount of miles. And when I understand that, Sandra get paid for mileage to travel around here for $400 per month. That's a stipend. But she goes out of that county, she get the mileage paid for her, because she's doing the business and representing our community or district. I'm going there to advocate for my community, for my district, for the students, because we want to be in a better place. Like for example, Sandra said we went to DC to the conference coast to coast, and Greenfield isn't the map. Of course, Greenfield isn't the map for yes, but we have to be very transparent. And this is the money of the public, or the taxpayers. I'm not. If the board said, no, we're not gonna pay the 200, we're gonna continue, it's fine, it dies here. But we have to take an action. We've been back and forth with this since 3 months, has been in the 3 meetings. So that's the bottom line. If the result is the pleasure of the board, it's not only me, we're a board of 5. So they said, okay, it's not gonna move on, we're gonna continue with the same language, it stays that way, okay, but we have to have it, and then it's gonna go and the board bylaws to say all board members needs to, it's gonna be, it's as similar as all employees. That's my comment. So, and thank you for the people, here, but it's not only about me, it's, for everyone.
Can I add just one more thing? I just want to be extremely clear that this policy actually...
Yeah, use the mic for the Zoom.
Okay, so I just want to be extremely clear that this policy, and what I was stressing, is not that you can't get mileage over 200 miles.
Yeah, that's what happened.
But that's not what the policy says. So you want to read it?
Just
The
let her
policy
talk,
actually
let her talk.
states, and it's connected, it's attached to the agenda. So what the 200 miles is once you hit 200 miles in mileage, then it triggers you to start looking at the cheapest mode of travel. Doesn't say you don't get reimbursed after 200 miles. I just want to be clear about that. And then going back to the whole Sacramento trip, like I drive the district vehicle, so I'm not really sure.
Can we get a copy of the such policy you're talking
It's
about?
attached to the agenda online. Everybody can.
There you go.
It's on there.
Back it.
All right, thanks.
Definitely.
You know, this is so ridiculous, bringing it to meeting after meeting. We had a case in the city council for one complaint, 6 meetings. Is that what we're doing right here? Like, Ms. Heredia was saying regarding Ms. Galvan, getting paid $400. You know, are we keeping track of the mileage? It seems like it's nitpicking, and that's not fair. And Ms. Jaime, I don't think that Ms. Councilmember Yaneli Martinez was actually saying for you guys not to, thank you, for you guys not to be, going as couple if you pay for your trips or whatever. I really would like to see some of the bills, when you guys go out there. Because you know what? I think what Ms. Heredia does, she does it with a passion, and I'm sure that everybody else does the same thing, because they want the same thing for the students. But I think you guys are taking this out of proportion. I think it's time for you guys to make a decision, bring it back to action, and do it, and work together. Be transparent with everybody. Why should she not, I hear that some tickets were purchased at $146 versus another one decided to go later. It comes out at $350, so why are you paying $200 when the last ticket that they bought was $350? So you guys are not being transparent in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so
I got it when I am already. So
it sounds like the community is asking for receipts to bring. So maybe on the next board meeting, so we can make it an action and follow the guide of, is it a graph of what has been spent or in these trips to really make a decision. I think that that's something that we should do and just be done with it. because I agree with the community.
Not as a whole, individual, because everybody's trying to have money.
I was just gonna get there.
Okay, thank you.
I do agree that it should be like, the community has spoken and voiced that, as individual, we should bring that back and then, put it on action, to just be done with it, because I do absolutely agree with the community. We shouldn't be coming back and forth and circling back on, something that is simple. So, we're going to move on to, the credential approval for teachers.